Let's start this morning, as we have a lot this week, with Jeremy Lin of the New York Knicks pulling out another win last night. We're going to talk right now to Kevin Clark. Good game by him, Sacramento.
Absolutely. Career high 13 assists. He can do it all at this point.
He can do it all, and he can even lift the fortunes and the reputations of the once beleaguered Ivy League players, past and present. You talk to some of them. What are they telling you?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of a bizarre wrinkle because, when Michael Jordan got guarded, it was all by future pros, and those guys had meaningful basketball careers. All of Jeremy Lin's main competition, they went to Wall Street. Now they're bankers, or they're defense contractors, or real estate associates, and so they're just sitting behind a desk watching their status as Ivy League basketball players grow with each point that Jeremy Lin scores. Essentially, they're really excited. They're getting to tell tall tales of their games against Lin, and basically they've become superstars of the office.
So some of them that you spoke with have actually sort of remembered seeing plays by him that if they think that the defense against Jeremy Lin should be using in the NBA. They sort of had a look at his strategies back then. What were they telling you?
Basically, they were saying that he has one of the best weaknesses you can have in the NBA, which is he can't handle pressure, but NBA defenders are a little more lax. They don't give the pressure that the Ivy League players would. So really there's an argument to be made that the guards at Brown or the guards at Princeton could really handle Jeremy Lin a lot better than the Sacramento Kings or the Utah Jazz.
And that's just not them boasting. I mean, some of the scores that they held him to and the number of points that he made in a game were pretty minimal that they held him to.
Yeah. One of the guys, Brett Lascalzo, he's a Wall Street trader now, and people are coming up to him and saying, Lin must have crushed you guys. And he's so actually I held him to 6 points. And Yale, Travis Pinick held him to 2 points and 4 points respectively. And so they have statistics to back up the fact that they could actually stop Jeremy Lin, which is something nobody in the NBA can do at this point.
Now, obviously, none of these guys thinking about trying to get back into basketball at this point. I would imagine.
Not at all. And I think they make more money on Wall Street at this point.
Yeah, although give Jeremy Lin a little time here, right?
Lin only makes $500,000, so actually some of them may.
True. So I wonder, though, that these guys that you spoke to, do they still play in sort of rec leagues themselves?
Yeah, and they're hearing it. Basically, all of them play. The ones in New York all play for the same team, the New York Athletic Club. So it's a very tight Ivy League community there. And then some of the guys, like Kevin Bolger, who I talked to in Chicago, he says that when he's lax on defense, he'll say something like, you can guard Jeremy Lin, but you can't guard this 35-year-old lawyer. It happens all the time. Guys expect more on defense now that they were the guy who guarded Jeremy Lin. I think that it's just a funny little wrinkle of their lives now, and it's something they hear all the time.
Now let's help these other NBA teams out. We can afford to be generous here in New York. We've had, what, 7 straight wins now with the Knicks?
Is that last
night? What other weaknesses did these Ivy League players who were playing against Jeremy Lin find with him, aside from the fact that, as you were saying, that you need to get up in his face? What else did they find?
You need to get up in his face, and he can't dribble left, which is something that NBA teams can sort of figure out, but because players are so good in the NBA, you can't really throw 4 bodies at him, 3 bodies, and make sure he dribbles only to his left. And so that's another thing where Lin's weakness is actually a perfect fit for the NBA, because you can't really commit that many guys. So he can't dribble left, and he can't really shoot an outside shot. All of these things you can sort of mask in an NBA game, and that's why he's had a lot of success in the NBA, but not necessarily against Columbia or Princeton or Brown.
Did any of the folks you talked to, I'm just curious, did they know him personally, or did they just sort of know him on the court?
Yeah, one of the guys was telling me he scored 30 points against the University of Connecticut in
Jeremy did,
yeah, in his senior year. And he thought he had never played against Jeremy, and so 2 weeks later he played against Jeremy and thought he'd be this cocky kid. Oh, I'm the toast of the Ivy League.
Yeah.
And he said that within a minute they bumped heads, literally bumped heads, and Jeremy was apologetic for the rest of the game. He is the nicest, most humble human being they've ever come across in a basketball court, the way they tell it. And so they have nothing but positive things to say about it, and they're all rooting for him.